what's up guys? This is Elias. Before we get started with the video, remind you to make sure you subscribe to my channel, make sure you like the video, share with your friends, share with your family. I've been getting great feedback from everybody. I love the comments that I've been getting in the comment box, and just thank you for the contributions that you guys have made. This has been a pretty cool beginning journey, and can't wait to continue to hear the comments and continue to give you guys content that hopefully helps you in whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish as far as your jiu-jitsu journey. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about how to be able to get into shape when starting your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu journey. And there is no really right direction. I'm just going to give you my opinion on some tips and things that I wish I would have known when I first started. Although a lot of these things I may have done just instinctually because I was really loving Jiu-Jitsu when I first got started with it. But it's a way to help for anyone thinking of getting involved with Jiu-Jitsu, to help you get started and know what you have to, do. I mean, not all these things do you have to do, but just some details that you can try to use to give yourself better application or to help you be involved more and physically feel better when you start practicing jiu-jitsu. So the best way, I think, when you're starting jiu-jitsu, your jiu-jitsu journey, is that you have good mental preparation. And what do I mean by that? It's just understand that Brazilian jiu-jitsu is a super fun activity. It's something that's new. It's something that's awkward for your body. And it's going to take time for your body to adapt to the things that you do in jiu-jitsu. So go in mentally prepared and know that this is not something you've done before. I can't tell you how many times I've seen in the past when people come in and they've been amazing at whatever they were doing before they tried jiu-jitsu physically, and this applies to all ages, but whatever they came from as far as walks of life goes, whether it be sports or whatever it is, jobs, they've always come in, a lot of people with, great physical attributes or different things like that. And when they come in, initially, because it's so awkward and the things we do is something that your body's not used to, it can sometimes contribute to wanting people or making people think like, oh, maybe this isn't something for me. My body's a little sore. My body doesn't churn that way, doesn't bend this way, and different things like that. And just know that like everybody when they first start has that same feeling. It's not something natural. A lot of the things that we do in jiu-jitsu as far as your body goes, it's something that we haven't done as far as, again, sports go in any other sport that we've done. So it's going to be something that's going to take getting used to. So come in with mental preparation and know that you're starting the same way everybody else did, and that's including the black belt that's teaching the class, anybody else who's higher belts. We all start with a little awkwardness in the beginning. So if you come in with that open mind and know and are mentally prepared for that, then you'll be able to do okay in the beginning to help you in your journey. The next thing I want to talk about is accepting your body's limitations and try not to compare yourself to anybody else. When you first start training jiu-jitsu, a lot of times you're going to start in jiu-jitsu with a lot of newer people, and a lot of times you're going to see people similar body structure, similar height, similar weight, those type of things, and you're going to think to yourself, oh, that's somebody that I can compare myself to and base my improvements or my progression off of their improvements, their progression. And just know that's not always necessarily true. Everybody has different progression. And the main thing is, even if we have similar bodies, we all have different schedules. We all have different things that we're doing in our life that make us be able to tend less, more. And that person might have things going on that allows them to train, let's say 5 days a week. And you might have things that allow you to only train 2 or 3 days a week. And that's okay, 2 or 3 days a week. And that person being 5 days a week. But that means that your progression is going to change. So even if you have similar body structures, you're still going to have a lot of times different trials or different things that you're going to run into on your way to starting your jiu-jitsu journey. So just know that it's not going to be, nothing's the same. Try not to compare yourself to anybody else. Just compare yourself to yourself. If in week 4 you feel better than you did in week 1, then you're progressing as best as you can, and that's all that matters, really, right? Like, we're getting involved with jiu-jitsu for self-defense and exercise and all the things, benefits that come with it. So just know that compare yourself to yourself. Try not to compare yourself with anybody else. The next thing I wanted to talk about, I just kind of, again, there is no order of these things that I'm talking about, although maybe there is some order a little bit, but you can decide what things you want to put in, what things not. But I would say a big one, and this could be number one, but is diet. Diet is so important when you first start jiu-jitsu. When you're getting involved with jiu-jitsu, the way you feed your body is a lot of times the way your body is going to react in a lot of the things that we do in class. As far as like if you eat a little heavier, you might have a little bit tougher time like bending a certain way or turning a certain way, just because your body's a little full. And compared to where if you ate something lighter and still hopefully filled you up, but was a little lighter as far as food goes, then you might be able to do some of those twists and turns a little easier. So diet's a huge part of the beginning of your jiu-jitsu journey. If you can focus and try to eat healthy when you start Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and healthy could mean different things, and not just like, because if you eat like, there's a lot of diets, like for example, the no carb diet where you eat a lot of steak, a lot of heavy like red meat. Those are also things that you want to, in the beginning, I'm not saying don't eat red meats, but things you want to try to, when you're starting jiu-jitsu, try to avoid eating all the time, because those, even though they're healthy for you as far as like carbs and things like that goes, depending on your diet, they're still really heavy. So they're things that sit in your belly and take, I think, more time to digest. So when you go and train, if you ate a really healthy, nice steak the night before, you might feel a little heavier the next day, not because you ate something unhealthy, but because it wasn't something that was going to be good for you to go train the next day. So just try to be aware of your body and try to, I'm sure like for most adults who start training, you guys have went on probably a ton of different diets. So you know already what makes you feel a little heavier, what makes you feel lighter, and try to, if you can, stray away from the heavier foods and try to stay with the lighter foods. It's going to help you, of course, if your goal is to weight loss or to lose weight, but it's also going to help you in your jiu-jitsu movements too. So the next thing I'll talk about as far as the gym goes, if I know that's an important thing that a lot of people ask, like, hey, what should I do to get ready when I come and start training? And the first things that I gave you are good examples, but the gym example or anything that you do at the gym, I would say in the beginning of training jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu is such a physical activity and it's something new to your body that your body's going to take time to adapt to, is try to avoid overtraining at the gym. So a lot of times when we first get involved with jiu-jitsu, you might roll or be paired up with someone who's really strong, really fast, athletic, or whatever the case may be. And not saying that you won't have those things, but it might push you to want to be more or a better version of you. So you want to get into the gym and get crazy in the gym and just start to maybe either get your youth back, or if you're young already, just get yourself, sharpen yourself up a little bit, and just be careful in the beginning. Try, if you can, to, I would say, 2 to 3 times a week working out is plenty. When you're complementing it with training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu 2, 3, 4 times a week in the beginning of your Jiu-Jitsu training. As you start to train more and your body starts to become more used to the Jiu-Jitsu movements, you'll see that you'll become less tired. You won't get as exhausted in a lot of the classes as you start to continue your Jiu-Jitsu journey from white, like maybe into blue belt. And then you maybe can ramp up your gym workouts. Just like I've said in previous videos, overtraining in Jiu-Jitsu, try to be conscious of not overworking out at the gym as well. So let's move on to the next thing. All right, so like talking about lifting weights 2 to 3 times a week, what type of weights should you be lifting? Like, I think the type of weights that you should be lifting are light weights. So when I say light weights, everyone has what's light to everybody, to one person could be heavy to another, and vice versa. Like when I lift weights, I always try to lift weights in high reps, not heavy weight. So for example, if I bench, let's say 225 pounds, normally, let's say if I was just in a gym environment and I wasn't training jiu-jitsu before, I would try to, go from 225 and just try to work my way up until I maxed out. And now what I'll do sometimes is I won't even get to 225. I'll start at like 185 and I'll sometimes get up, let's say to 205 to 215 to 225 on rare occasions. But it's really, all I'll do is I'll do that 185, but I'll try to do that 185 as many times as I can. And I'm thinking more of like trying to do as many reps as possible, so when I train, have more energy for longer periods of time. A lot of people, when they first start the jiu-jitsu journey train, the thing that in the beginning is hard to match is when you do resistance or you spar, the amount of time that you have to spar or do resistance. A lot of times, if you're sparring for 6 minutes, when you first start, the first 2 minutes you're gassed, and then you have still 4 more minutes left to go, trying to push this body off of you and trying to not let them attack you and trying to survive. So if you can simulate that with weights, I think the best way to do it is by using doing high reps with low weight. So that way you can try to simulate as much as possible what you do in the academy. And I think that's going to help you be more productive for when you train jiu-jitsu. So let's move on to the next thing. Like going back into the gym and what kind of gym workouts, like I was talking about like high reps, but I also want to mention like what type of gym workouts you should do. So I think like, you know, a lot of times, like when I first started jiu-jitsu, I used to do a lot of, when I lifted weights, I would do specific body muscles each day that I would go. If I went, you know, depending on how many times I went during that week, I would try to, you know, do like all chest one day, all bicep one day, all legs, you know, all quadriceps, all hamstrings, you know, are the back leg muscles. And so when I started training jiu-jitsu, I tried to work out less because I didn't want to take too much energy away from training as hard as I can. So what I tried to do more full body workouts. So for example, rather than just do chest or just do biceps, I'd mix them. So I'd do like almost like a Tabata, if you can think of it that way, which is I'd go in, although I don't usually time myself, although that's not a bad thing either, to kind of push yourself, especially if you're on a schedule, to do something that forces you to work out in 30 minutes or something like that. But I usually try to give myself a little bit more time, still do kind of a full body workout, but not with a set time limit. But so I'll do like chest, bicep, shoulder, and like maybe 1 or 2 exercises in each muscle group. And then just build on that throughout the week and try to change the area of the muscle, like, you know, maybe outside chest Monday, you know, inside chest, just as examples. I mean, this is no specific schedule, but I try to do full body. And the reason I do that is because I never want, when I train, any one muscle to be super sore when I train. I usually tend to feel when I'm super sore that it's hard for me to do things that may require like flexibility and different things like that, because those areas are so tight and sore. So if I do a little bit of all of my muscles every day, or as often as depending on how many days a week I lift weights, I tend to feel that it never super exhausts any one muscle. So when I go train, I have full access to those muscles. And so that's my way of thinking when I go and lift weights. Along with the high reps, low weight, I also try to, if I can, try to do as many muscles as I can in one workout, rather than just focus on one muscle group in each workout. The next thing I want to talk about is like what can complement jiu-jitsu. So I know we talked about the gym, and I think, in my opinion, there's 2 things that complement jiu-jitsu so well as far as full body workouts. If going to the gym is not something you're super into, like me, I've had moments where I'll get a really, you know, go 6 months and just be super into the gym, and then I'll get burnt out. I haven't yet got burnt out on jiu-jitsu, but I'll get burnt out at the gym. I'll be like, you know, I'm just not, and when I say burnt out, it doesn't really like mentally hit me. It just, I'll be burnt out in the sense that I'll feel myself like not being as motivated to go work out each morning as I was for probably within a 6-month period, for example. So a really good complement to that, and something that is really good for jiu-jitsu. There's 2 things. One is surfing. Surfing. I live in Palm Desert, California, so there is no surfing out here. So surfing isn't an option. It used to be an option when I lived in Hawaii, but it's not an option here. But the other thing that I think is really great for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, if nothing else, just to help keep you flexible, especially if you came in already with a lot of tight muscles, or just being, you know, a bodybuilder before training Jiu-Jitsu, not me being a bodybuilder, but if you have been, is yoga. I think yoga is such an amazing complement to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So if you wanted to do something that I think is something that is fun, that you don't have to go to the gym for, and that's just you know, my opinion. Of course, people may have different opinions, but I think that's such a great thing. It always feels great when I get done with yoga and then I go train jiu-jitsu, because I just feel like everything's looser. All right, moving to the next thing. So this is the last but not least, the most important thing, or the best way to get yourself ready for your jiu-jitsu journey in the beginning. And I wanted to mention this last because it's not the least important thing. It's actually, in my opinion, the most important thing, which is there's really no substitute as far as gym goes, yoga, surfing, anything that you could do to get you ready for jiu-jitsu. The best way to get ready for jiu-jitsu is to go into your local jiu-jitsu school and train Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I can't tell you how many times in the past I've had people say, like, you know, I didn't start right away. You know, a friend of mine started 6 months ago, and I didn't start right away because I was a little out of shape. So I went to go train first, or I went to the gym to work out and get myself into shape, and then I wanted to come try a class out. And then after the class, it never fails, or maybe not immediately after, but like the day after or a couple of days after that they've signed up, they've come back and they'll come and do another class, and I'll just ask them, how do you feel? I'm like, you know what? All the things that I did at the gym didn't even matter, because I still felt sore in parts of my body that I've never been sore before. And that's because jiu-jitsu is different. It's unorthodox. There's not a lot of things you can simulate Brazilian jiu-jitsu with at a gym, at a yoga place, in surfing, anything that you can think of other than just training Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So the best advice I can give you as far as getting ready for your jiu-jitsu journey is just as soon as possible walk into that local jiu-jitsu school and come train. That's pretty much it, and I hope it helps. You know, I wish I would have been able to research and see some of these things when I started, and it's things that I can now pass on to you. So have a great rest of your guys' day, week, whatever it may be, and remember to subscribe, remember to like the video, and if you have any comments or anything, those comments that you guys have been given, I haven't answered all of them, but I read all of them, so make sure you guys keep commenting. The ideas are pretty cool, and have a great rest of your guys' day. See you later.